If, then. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 298 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and this is the first of the usual couple of episodes of the Weekend Drop, the shorter version of the Shower Podcast, where in only 5 minutes, I try to give you a simple but powerful enough idea to bring with you in the weekend. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode, remember that liking and subscribing really mean a lot for me. They're just one click, but they really, really make the difference. Thank you very much for considering it. You know, there's this invisible line between the people who want to change their habits and those who actually do. And that line, most of the time, isn't discipline, motivation, or luck. It's something much simpler: a plan. Psychologist Peter Gollwitzer, back in the late 1990s, called this idea implementation intentions. His research showed that when you specify when and where you'll do something, the chances of it actually happening can double or even triple. That's not theory. It's been proven again and again, from people trying to exercise more to students submitting their papers on time. And I have to admit, I have also used this technique back in my student time. So today, I want to talk about how this idea can genuinely change the way you think about action. Because most of the time, it's not the lack of willpower that gets in the way. It's the absence of structure. Let's start simple. Imagine you tell yourself, I'll start going to the gym next week. That's a goal. But it's also the reason most goals fail. Now, compare that to saying, every Tuesday and Thursday, right after work, I'll go to the gym at 6. Suddenly, your brain treats it like a calendar entry, not a wish. Gollwitzer studies showed that the brain creates an almost automatic response. You encounter the when and where cue, and your mind fills it with the what. This is why you find yourself brushing your teeth before bed without thinking about it. It's not motivation, it's a loop built on context. And what's beautiful about implementation intentions is that it gives you structure without rigidity. You're not forcing the outcome, you're priming the situation. You're basically saying, when this happens, I'll do that. It's strategy disguised as self-awareness. The American Psychology Association highlighted this in 2011. People who planned out exactly when and how they'd perform a new behavior were 91% more likely to follow through. Think about that. 91%. That's almost unfair. And yet, most of us still rely on, I'll do it later. Later is a dangerous word because it lives in a timeline that doesn't exist. You can't act later. You can only act when something happens. So defying that when, it's half of the battle. There's also a mental freedom that comes with it. When you say, if I get home and I feel tired, I'll still go for a 10-minute walk, you've already made peace with resistance. You've disarmed the excuse before it even shows up. And that's not pressure, that's self-leadership. Here's what I've noticed. Implementation intentions don't just change what you do, they change how you see yourself. Because every small follow-through is proof that your actions and your identity are aligned. You start seeing yourself as someone who does what they plan. And you can build that proof in the smallest amounts. If you tell yourself, when I finish my coffee, I'll open the book. Or, when I sit at my desk, I'll write one paragraph. You're turning intentions into triggers. Researchers from the University of Constance even found that people who practiced this approach over just 2 weeks experienced a measurable boost in perceived self-efficacy. Basically, confidence that what they plan, they'll do. That's why it works. It's not magic. It's pattern training, and once your brain learns that pattern, it starts helping you instead of fighting you. So, here's your challenge for this weekend. Take one thing, anything, that you've been postponing. Don't say, I'll do it. Say when and where you'll do it. Write it down or even say it out loud. Because at the end of the day, change doesn't come from wanting. It comes from knowing exactly when and how you start. That was all for today. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you also enjoyed today's episode of The Weekend Drop. If you made it so far, feel free to interact with this content in any way, shape, or form. Liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. It's always welcome. And as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient. This was the Shower Podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow with the second episode of The Weekend Drop.